Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Hey everybody, it's Shawn Eastridge. Thanks for tuning in to our continuing coverage of the Atlanta Film Festival. It's over by now, but that's okay. We're going to keep the party going, and it's going to be great. So I'm really excited about this particular episode. I say that about all the episodes, but you know what? It's because it's true. There's a lot to be excited about, and there's a lot to be excited about here with this interview. I sat down with Lane and Ruckus Skye, a husband and wife writing-directing duo, to chat about their debut feature, Reckoning, which, by the way, just won the Best Georgia Film Award at the Atlanta Film Festival. As it should, because this movie is awesome. So Reckoning follows a woman named Lemon, who lives in an isolated Appalachian community with her husband and son. They're cut off from the rest of the world and have their own rules and regulations. One day her husband disappears, and the worst part about it is he disappears while paying off a debt to the matriarch of the oldest family on the mountain. This lady's a little nuts. She's got issues. She tells Lemon that she needs to find her husband and complete the debt, otherwise she'll murder Lemon and her son. You know, it's sweet. But no joke, this movie completely blew me away, from the performances to the cinematography, the music. All of it is absolutely amazing, and I feel like this is going to connect with audiences in a really big way. The tough part about this interview is that the movie hasn't been released yet, so as much as I want to tell you where to watch it, you can't yet. That being said, this is absolutely a film you'll want to keep on your radar. Thankfully, during my discussion with Ruckus and Lane, we don't spoil anything significant. So if you want to listen to some awesome indie filmmakers talking about their production, the struggles to get the film made, you can still tune in and get something out of it. If you want to save this spot and come back once you've seen the movie, you can do that too. And trust me, you want to see this movie, and you'll want to hear these two filmmakers talk about their craft. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Hope you enjoy.
Now available to own on video cassette.
First of all, congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
Because I didn't know anything about it.
Oh, that's great.
And it caught me so off guard. Like, I was just so blown away by the movie. But like, has it been? Because this was an encore screening.
Yeah, it was.
So the first one was sold out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, almost
I mean, that's
500
incredible. Did you imagine that was the type of reception you'd be getting?
I don't know. You know, we shot it almost a year and a half ago, and so, you know, we sit there, stare at it, editing it in our little bedroom there, and at some point, you think it's good, but at some point you start going, I don't know if this is any good or not. I really don't. And then so, like, honestly, the premiere was the first time it actually finally felt like a real movie to me. You know, that comes and goes over the year and a half. So It was just such an incredible experience at the premiere, that many people reacting to it, and just about every beat kind of played the way we wanted it to, which was so gratifying.
Yeah, and it was beautiful screening at the plaza. They'd opened the balcony up, and so I think there were 495 people.
It's 500 seats, basically. We sold it out.
Yeah, so we basically sold that out. So just having that packed house, anytime you have like a large crowd who's really into a film, that's like such a great communal experience. And when it's your film, that's even better.
And we knew there were funny moments and everyone laughed at them, but there were moments that people laughed that I was, I guess that is funny. I guess things
What specifically? What stuff?
I don't know if it'd be spoilers to say the moments, but it's just little dialogue bits and little. Yeah, it would be spoilers if I said it. But things that we wrote, but I never thought that was funny. But like in context, for the first time of an audience seeing it for the first time,
yeah,
I was like, oh, I could see how that is funny.
Yeah, there's a scene during the climax. I won't make it a spoiler, but where Danielle is trying to reassure her son, and because of the circumstances, it's funny. Mm-hmm. But in the moment, the truth of the moment is it's a really tense, whatever.
I know exactly. Yeah. That was genuinely funny.
Yeah, that was. I literally in the premiere, I was like, oh, I guess that is funny.
Yeah.
Because to us, it was so important that for her, that her son never knew the amount of danger they were in. That was the whole point of everything she does with her son, is that he doesn't really ever catch on to how
she does everything she can to protect him and keep that innocence around him in this terrible situation so that he can stay a kid.
Did you start the story when you were brainstorming something you want to make? Did you think of it as we want to tell a mother and son story, or how did it get started?
I think literally the kernel of the idea was kind of the inciting incident, which is there's a knock on the door. That was the first idea. There's a knock on the door, and there's two guys there, and they're like, you have to go see whoever the bad guy is, and your son has to stay. Like, that was kind of the kernel of the entire thing. And we were like, oh, we can make and we had Danielle in mind for it already, who played the lead actress, Lemon. And it was just like Danielle and that little seed, and then we wrote it in 12 days. It was like a flurry of like, because we were so motivated. If we want to back up about how this started, we had a film that we've been trying to make for 6 years now through more traditional means, and it became frustrating after a while that it would be we're going to shoot it and then it wouldn't happen, and it would, for different reasons, and we had found out this was like summer.
Yeah, it was like July, 2017. I think 2017.
We sent an email to the studio and said, "Are we shooting it this year?" And then we got it back. No, we're not shooting it. And then we instantly, the second we got that email, we were like, "Can you cuss on this podcast?"
Yeah, go for it. We're gonna bleep it out, but you can still do it.
The second we got that email, we both came out here and we said, "F it, we're making a movie." Like, it was literally like
we have 6 months. We're making something.
We were so tired of not making movies, so that was it. And we're like, an hour later, we had, let's write something for Danielle, and then that seed of an idea came up, and then we just wrote the thing in like 12 days. Yeah. That's the fastest we've ever written anything. And she had no idea, but Danielle had no idea that we were writing it, but we did it, and then we sent it to her, and we were like, I hope she says yes.
So did you know her personally? Had you worked with her before, or what was your relationship with her prior to the movie?
Yeah, we'd never worked with her, but we'd met her through the arts community, and she'd come out to like a read-through we'd have for another script, and we'd met her for coffee and kind of talked about kinds of things that she was interested in doing and what we did. And so we had all that in mind when we were coming up with the script for her.
It's been that way with several of the actors in the film, but that kind of thing of like, oh, well, we mutual respect and maybe we should work together one day, And so then this just seemed like the right opportunity, and we were excited. And
do you remember handing her the script and just the anticipation of like, okay, now is this really, I imagine it's a different experience when you're like, let's write it for her, we love it. But what was that like? Was it a little nerve-wracking to then be like, oh God, I hope she connects to this?
It was because honestly, we wrote it for her, and I'm not really sure if we would have cast someone else in it, because we were just so excited about it. And there was about 2 days of like, I hope she likes it, and then like,
she wrote it really quickly.
It was like, we sent it to her an hour ago. Why hasn't she responded? She did read it very quickly, and I'm sure it is. Yeah. I'm sure it's flattering. It's like, hey, we wrote this for you. We really hope you were going to do it. I'm sure as an actor, that's like, oh, that's pretty cool.
But yeah, Danielle's weird like us, so we were pretty sure she was going to like it.
Right. Yeah, we were hoping so.
And what were some of the influences going into it? Obviously, you talk a little bit about the kernel of the idea, but was there a vibe you were going for? Like, you had just seen something or a particular filmmaker or someone who had inspired the idea, or any kind of story that had kind of, in the back of your mind, pushed this idea to the forefront?
What do you think?
We're big fans of Southern Gothic film and literature, so that's always in the back of our minds when we're coming up with stuff.
Part of the idea again too was the kernel. Another section of it that I lift out is, we specifically from the start wanted a community that was like cut off.
Yeah,
was like, no one can help her. She can't just go down the street and get a neighbor to help or whatever. So with that in mind, we're like, well, we have to shoot out in the middle of nowhere. So we put it on a mountain, and then we just kind of went with what felt right for this mountain community. And it was important to us that we kind of created some rules. Okay, if they're cut off from society, then like they can have their own laws and their own rules, and that was a lot of fun coming up with vocabulary for them. That we made up some words and took some arcane words and put them in, and I love stuff like that where you feel like as an audience member you're kind of like learning. There was this amazing film, Ryan Johnson film, Brick. Have you seen that?
No, and I desperately want to.
Yeah.
But I loved it so much because it's so full of that. Like, there's all these words, and you don't know what they mean at first, but it makes you pay attention because you're like, oh, I got to figure out what that means. You know?
You kind of have to actively watch and lean in, and that's what we wanted, was like a sort of a slow build, but that you had to actively like pay attention to get what was going on.
And what number feature is this for you?
Our first.
Our first one as a writer-directors. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's our first feature. That's again why that like 6 years of like that was going to be our first feature.
Okay.
And it was like and like 6 years later we're like we could have made a movie a long time ago. We've been writing scripts for other people. That's kind of our day gig is screenwriting, and but we've always wanted. We always wanted to make what we wrote as directors. So that was the frustration of like this other project taking so long, and us like we gotta, because we even screenwriting we came into it kind of later in life. We're not super young, and
we're not 19.
We're not 19. We had to. We've been making short films and music videos and things like that for a long time, and we're just like, we got to make a film. So
yeah.
And so we said this all the time that it was a crazy experience making, and we're so glad we did it. I hope we never have to do it that way again, because it was from that kernel of an idea. We were shooting 3 months later, so it was like insane.
Yeah, we immediately went into pre-production. Even though we didn't have financing, we didn't have anything. We were just.
How does that work when without the financing, when you're just pushing forward like that? Is
ridiculous.
Stupid.
I mean, it's really just a lot of like faith and hope that it'll come together. We have a mentor of ours that made his first film that way. He told us, he's like, I set a date and kept telling everyone it's happening, and then it came together, and that's exactly what we did. We wrote it and then set a date, and just kept saying this is when we're shooting, and we got the financing literally like 2 weeks before we started rolling.
Wow.
So it was really crazy because people had started turning down other jobs and things like that, and I was like.
Hopefully this works out.
very nerve-wracking. But,
and we also made production a little scalable, so we had a little bit of financing from us and from another like small equity investor, and we were like, if worse comes to worse, we'll make like the super scrappy shoestring version of this, and then we didn't have to do that.
I mean, it's still a super scrappy movie.
It is,
but it doesn't feel like it. I loved because the Q&A was great. Somebody said, or someone asked, someone said, "What's your budget?" And you said, "We wanted it to look more expensive than it actually was, and that's all you're getting."
Yeah,
but it does. I mean, it pulls. It feels so much bigger than what it was. But what were some of the challenges working with then obviously a much smaller budget and making it feel so grand in scale?
Well, part of it I think is choosing a cinematic backdrop makes it feel bigger. We shot in the mountains, so we got these wide pretty vistas, and that kind of just has a dynamic feel to it.
And you shot in Georgia too, right?
We shot in Hiawassee.
Wow.
And Hiawassee and Blairsville. There's one location was in a place called Owltown, which is our favorite name. I love going to Owltown. But part of it is that. Part of it is finding the right locations. Most of them were like abandoned houses or no one had lived in for years.
Or like people's great-great-grandparents' houses that are just storage and things like that. Yeah.
We chose to shoot handheld on purpose for budgetary reasons. It's like I love dolly shots, but it's going to take us an hour and a half to set up this dolly shot for one shot. Or we could shoot the entire scene handheld. So we just leaned into that aesthetic. And our DP, Sherman Johnson, he does a lot of commercials that he shoots handheld. So that's kind of his thing. He's really good at it. So we just kind of said let's just lean into what we know we can pull off but still look pretty. And there's so much about framing and picking the right staging and all that you can make something look nicer. A lot of it is just like the feel of like framing a nice shot. It's the difference between watching like a Spielberg frame or like, I don't want to say a bad filmmaker, but there's some films you watch and I'm like, that's literally just ugly, and so we try to learn from the ones that we think are pretty. And
we also called in every favor that we had. We've been in the Atlanta filmmaking community for a while now and helped other people with things and made friends, and so we just called everyone and we were like, hey, we need your help, and everybody was really awesome about stepping up and really giving it their all, despite not having very much money to get things done. They just like worked their asses off, which was awesome.
And then another benefit of shooting in Hiawassee is it was a very small community. Everyone knows everyone, and people don't shoot movies there. So it was exciting to them. Like if we shoot in Atlanta, like everyone, movies are huge here now. Yeah. So it's like, but up there, they're like, it'd be great to have my truck in your movie or my goat in your movie.
Like, what is it, 3 a.m? Sure, we'll be here all night.
There was generally that like excitement, and so hopefully we're gonna go do Hiawassee premiere
Yeah.
in a couple of weeks.
Oh, great.
But the community really embraced us, and it was a lot of fun for them. So that made a big difference too. That we
Yeah.
got a lot of production value out of things that we would not have been able to afford in Atlanta or anywhere else. One of our producers, Gabriel, is from LA, and every time we would get a horse for free, he would, you know how much a horse costs in LA? He was saying that the whole time. You know how much this would cost in LA? So hopefully it feels like a much bigger movie, and we've always been conscious, even when we have a bigger budget, of like just putting all the money on screen so that it feels like a bigger movie than it is.
Do you remember the first day of shooting, which
Yeah.
I imagine was super daunting, but talk a little bit about that, and then also some of the more challenging stuff, or some of the things you were like, oh God, this is going to be such a challenge, that turned out not to be as much, and then vice versa. What were the ups and downs of the whole production process?
The very first shot of the very first day.
Yeah, we had planned it to be something easy because we were like, oh, we want to like rip something off fast so everybody knows that we got our stuff together and this is going to be a great film.
So it was literally the last shot of the film of a truck driving away. And we had the most beautiful like sunrise, which we were playing a sunset, but it's pretty pink sky. And we're like, all right, let's do this. It's gonna be so awesome. And the car wouldn't start. And we were like,
we couldn't figure it out.
This is great, because I've talked to a few people who it's always like first day, something always goes wrong. And that's just the lay of the
and
land
we were
when it
like,
comes to
I
production.
hope this is not an omen for the rest of the film.
It turns out like it didn't have gas in it. That was like
Oh
we
my
tried
God.
everything. We couldn't figure it out. And yeah.
But it's just like when, everyone had their job, but everyone was doing 3 jobs and 4 jobs. So it's like little things like that. If on a big production, you would have had a car person and they would have had it prepped the night before and all that, and so it was, and it was like, it was Lemon's car, this blue car. And I loved it. It's so beautiful. And I was like, I hope we don't have to get another car because this doesn't work.
No, we almost bailed on it. And
Luckily, it was just putting gas in it. So we got the shot the next morning. But so that was the first. But then it went well for a couple of days. And
the first stuff we shot was Grady's barn. So that stuff with the vitriol and all of that. So that was pretty easy stuff to do. And everybody was really great in those scenes. And then we moved out to we tried to pack all of our exteriors into the first week in case the weather changed, because it was nice the first week, and I'm so glad we did, because we lost the leaves like after that weekend.
geez.
They all
Wow.
fell off the trees.
we very specifically were hoping to this is what I love about Georgia in October is the leaves are so beautiful, and we the first week we were there it was beautiful, and then the second week they all dropped, and we shot for 3 weeks. And so happy that we had gotten most of those pretty exteriors.
Yeah, in fact, we had shot Lemon's exterior that first week when it had leaves, and then we came back to do more shots, and there were no leaves, but they were all in the yard, so we had to get rakes, and like everybody was just trying to clear. It was insane.
Yeah, I don't think anything happened on our film that isn't typical for any indie film at this budget. There's always something going wrong. And one of our producers, Allison, like every time something would go wrong, she would go, Ruckus, this happens in every movie. Don't, she would have to reassure me, because I was like, what? She's like, this happens in every movie. It's totally normal. We'll get through it.
We got through it.
Nice. How do you two work together and collaborate on set versus the writing process, and how does that work? Is there ever a situation where someone might come to you and say, hey, how do we want to do this scene? And then you'll come in and be like, hey, wait a second. How dare you? Or vice versa.
That's a really good question. This was the first long form thing that we directed together, and it was a learning process to some extent.
Yeah,
and we're still learning, but
we're always like evolving the way that we work together, trying to find better ways to do it.
we each had our own monitor. And, we shared one.
We shared a monitor.
Sit next to each other. Well, basically, we just had the rule is that we wouldn't move on to another take or another scene until we were both happy.
Yeah.
And we would take turns if I would tend to, in general, talk to Danielle more about the technical stuff of like, hey, the camera's gonna be over here, let's try to land here and all that, and Lane would tend to talk to her more about the emotional character stuff. To some extent, there's a lot of overlap.
Yeah, but just in general, I tend to, because Ruckus is so great at the technical side of things, I tend to take more of the ownership of the story and making sure that we're where we're at in the script and we're getting all the like beats that we need to get. Even though we both do both things, that's just where our strengths tend to lie.
Yeah, that was. I don't think it was a challenge. Maybe some of the actors might say it was weird to have 2 directors, but
no, we're usually really good at communicating with each other,
and because we wrote it together, 99% of the time we're on the same page because we've already worked out the story and we know what we want out of it.
Yeah.
Can you usually feel when you're shooting it, and I know it's just chaos when you're shooting, but is were there any highlights in terms of days where you were like, oh, this is really, I think this might be something special?
I really felt that way that after the car didn't start, and I was like, oh my God. But then we went in to Grady, one of the characters. He has this sort of weird laboratory where he makes both clear moonshine and clear vitriol, which will kill you. Which is funny to me because it's like, well, you sure you got the right one you poured for me? Anyways, we went in there, and the art department had just addressed this set so beautifully. And we started shooting that, and I was like, oh man, this feels cinematic. And all my doubts about at least it looking like a movie dropped away right there.
Yeah, and there were some moments where just the acting was so, we could tell on set it was going so well. Like the scene with Adam in the car with Danielle where he's giving her his monologue. That was, the sun was just hitting perfectly. The shot just looked so beautiful, and what he was doing was so great. And even though like he was having to contend with traffic noise, like we were out in the middle of nowhere, there's a highway nearby, so he would just like hold every time
there was some kind of buzzsaw too.
There was a sawmill nearby, and they were just buzzing logs or something.
But that's when, and I'll give so much credit to Adam Boyer, that's when being a professional actor comes through, because I was frustrated for him because he kept having to stop in the middle of his lines, and I was getting like pissed. And but I was trying not to show it, but he never once, he just stopped, and then it would get quiet and he would just go right back into it, and you can't tell when you watch the scene. It's just like a lot of times you don't know until you get back and you start watching all the takes, but every once in a while there's something that happens on set and you're just like, oh my God, that's going to be in the movie. I know for a fact that shot's in the movie.
And there's a scene with Catherine and Danielle in the kitchen, particularly the second day when Danielle comes back and her character's a little more combative. Like just the rhythm of seeing them do that and how well that was flowing was really magical on the day.
How was it like, so Danielle, obviously you were like, this is for her, and then assembling the rest of the cast around her?
Like a lot of the other roles we did write with other actor friends in mind. And fortunately, everyone that we specifically wrote a role for agreed to do the film. So it was like, not only do we know they're good actors, but they're our friends. We know they're going to show up. We know they're not going to, flake out on us.
Or be jerks.
Yeah, or be jerks. Yeah, Adam Boyer, we plays Bull, and we wrote that. I don't know anyone else who could have been Bull. He's so good in that. Jason Warner-Smith we'd wanted to work with for a while, and
Catherine Dyer we'd
want to work with for a while, and then Brad Carter's in it. We've worked with him before. He was in a short film we did, and he also did the score for the film, which I'm so happy with how that turned out. Some of our older films in the past I've scored, and I really, almost out of necessity because we don't have a budget, and I was like, we need to find a composer. And then we started thinking about Brad. I was like, he plays banjo, and he plays, it was just so perfect for him, and he agreed to do it. And
there's a great, music plays a huge part.
Yeah.
You made us all chant before the movie, which is great. But talk a little. So how much of that was in the script? There's a whole interlude where he plays a really beautiful song, and
that was in the script.
That was in the script. Okay.
Yeah, it's this traditional song called "I Don't Want to Die in the Storm," and it was, the lyric was perfect for the. And we had it's a little bit of a fun deliverance shout out, because he's sitting on the porch playing banjo. But even in our heads before we shot it, I was like, it would be really cool if over this other scene you hear if there's banjo in the rest of the score, and then you hear banjo in this scene, and you think, oh, it's just another score piece, and then suddenly you cut to the porch and you realize he's playing it live.
Yeah.
And then he keeps playing, and it goes back into another scene, and that kind of stuff just feels magical. Even if you're, as an audience, you're not super aware that you just did that. There's something really cool about that, and that was planned out. And so, he played 5 or 6 takes of that live as the sun was going down, and we cut that together. Yeah. And then the chanting, that was worked out ahead of time. I kind of led, Brad wasn't there on set that day, but I kind of led the Heathens in this choir chant and recorded it. And then I kind of cut it to a click track and edited the scene, and just sent him, there's just a click track in this chant, and then he put all that rest of it, and it's just, that's one of my favorite pieces of music.
Yeah,
and it's so beautiful. So that was stuff that, here's what I liked about, was exciting about to me, is we sent Brad the script, I don't know, maybe 2 months before we shot, and without any prompting, he read it and recorded a bunch of music ideas and sent them back to us, which I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
And we heard them. We were like, I mean, it was like really inspiring stuff. Like Lemon's main theme, that was one of the first things he sent to us, and it inspired the way we shot the film. So like we took his demos and we had them with us on our phone. And we'd listen to it, and so it's like the script inspired him to write these ideas, which changed the way we shot it to work with that. And then he, came back in post and edited it. So it was this very circular process, which I love and I hope to do on every film from now on, because it really informed it, versus just locking picture and sending it to someone and say, okay, replace my temp tracks with your, we had not that many temp tracks. We were using Brad's kind of rough demos in the edit, and I loved it. And I think that changed the feel of the film for the better. I think so.
Yeah, you were talking about influences earlier. Joe Wright did some of that in his earlier films, like Atonement. That was like a big influence on the way that we handled the music. And
I just realized that the other day. There's that amazing scene in Atonement. It's like a 10-minute take.
The Dunkirk.
The Dunkirk sequence.
And you hear this choir, but it's like 2 or 3 minutes later before you see the choir. But when you see them, they're in sync with what you've been hearing. And I remember being so blown away with that. And that's very directly probably where I got the idea for the Heathens chanting, and that being a part of the score, but also the reality of the scene. Yeah. So the whole movie's just an Atonement ripoff.
Perfect. Now that we've got that out of the way, that's all I needed for this interview. This is waiting for it. But as far as in terms of evolution like that and the script evolving based on things like that, was there anything else that changed based on just the elements, or something organically coming to the forefront while you were shooting, or even afterwards?
We did have to make some changes based on the actual locations that we found. Like we had a different location for Tommy's exterior that we lost, and then because of a scheduling change, and we just couldn't move the date, and we ended up at a different place, and because of that, the staging had to change a little bit, in which that kind of changed the scene just a little bit.
Right, but what was so cool about stuff like it's all this serendipity, like we lost that location, the new location came with a horse. Yeah. Like there was a horse there. So suddenly it looked like, it's a little extra production value that we were never counting on. And then it wasn't a trained horse. But she likes to tell this story. Like,
we were like, okay, we want that actor to stand over here, and then the horse will come over, and like we'll shoot the little thing.
Like it would be cool if this worked,
right?
Kind of a thing.
And the horse is off eating in the pasture, and we're setting up camera and whatever. And then we're like, okay, we're ready for the horse. And Sassy, the horse, just walks over and stands on her mark, and is there for the whole shoot. And when we're done, she just goes back off and eats.
Like we could not
star in the making.
If we had probably hired a trained horse, it probably wouldn't have done
so well. Yeah.
The goats and the chickens, like everyone, they did what we asked them to do. Very they say in indie films, it's the classic rule that you're not supposed to have kids in your movie, and you're not supposed to have animals because you can't control any of that. And we had both, and so many locations. Yeah. We sent it to one of the producers, Gabriel, and we were like, we're going to try to do this for as close to free as we can. And he was like, "So you know how many locations you have here? You know how many
this is not a free movie.
This is not the micro budget movie you did." But yeah, some of the locations, mostly that's why we didn't try to get too locked into staging and things, because it's just like, well, we'll see what the location offers us and just take it. And that's why also being handheld made it easier for us to just a little more free form and a little more, able to go with it.
We did cheat in Lemon's interior. We cheated the kitchen for a different room because we needed her to have an eye line to her son. And the way that it was a little bit down the hall, so we moved it to the living room. I did air quotes, you can't tell.
I mean, actually, if almost every exterior and interior is a cheat of what's none of the interiors are actually the exteriors, but you go with it, and I don't think anyone's called us out on it yet.
No, they will now. Surprise! So as far as you're pretty much in alignment when you're shooting, were there any, not just necessarily between you two, where you were kind of like, I see it this way or I see it that way, but were there challenges as far as working with the actors or anyone on set where it was like trying to find the compromise and figuring out something where you were like, I want it to be this way, but just working through that and the process of working when you have differences, how to be productive and still get your vision across?
Right. I really honestly don't think we had any of that. Everyone was so on board with the story already, and I guess trusted us and believed that we had a vision for it, and everyone was just kind of game to play.
Yeah, and we did have the benefit of having done some rehearsals before we went up to the mountains, so we tried to get Danielle with all the different actors who were local, at least, for like 4 or 5 hours just to talk through their characters and work through some scenes. So we definitely worked out some of the hiccups there.
Yeah,
and
and we tried stuff in rehearsals that didn't necessarily work, and then we were able to go, okay, well, that's not going to work. Let's try something else. So a little of that was kind of pre-worked out ahead of time, and maybe saved us some time. Yeah, for the most part, everyone was just...
Yeah, I mean, the only challenges of being a duo, which are actually, I think, a strength, like with such a low-budget production, there were production things that had to be taken care of, but since there were 2 of us, like one of us could focus on the directing, the other one could solve whatever fire was needing to be put out.
Because there was a lot of that.
There was a lot of that.
Yeah, I'm sure that's nice.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, so how long was post-production?
Oh, man, 15 months, year and a half, something like that.
No. Well, okay. If you count all the cleanup shots.
Yeah, that counts. That's
the edit was much quicker than that.
Well, we spent almost all the money on getting the film in the can and then like getting a proper color correction and sound mix. So we didn't pay ourselves to edit, and there was because the community is supposed to be off the grid. You don't know this when you're watching the movie, but there were a ton of like you'd see power lines in the background and things that, and almost every shot, if you pan the camera like 3 inches that way, you'd see another house or something. So I spent a lot of time just removing power lines and removing little things.
And you did that yourself?
Yeah, I did. I had to learn a new program.
Wow.
And it's very tedious, but it was but has this cumulative effect where it keeps you in the reality of the story. Like there were, I'm not exaggerating, there were about 100 shots where I had to remove something from the background or whatever. So that just took a long time because we're also trying to pay our bills while we're doing that,
Right.
So.
But it definitely helps make the community feel more remote and cut off from society, which I think helps with the reality of the film.
Definitely.
Yeah, we had a good friend of ours did some drone shots for us. So a lot of the interstitial mountain shots, when you're watching, it looks like a camera locked off, but it's actually a drone like way up in the air and getting these angles that we couldn't get, but it's not moving. So he's like, these are the least drone-y shots I've ever shot. It's just like, these are so unimpressive because it's just locked off, but it's what we needed for the film. But he would get so high up, it would have a beautiful mountain vista, but you could see like house. So it was a lot of that, just like removing that. So it just looked like a barren mountain, stuff like that. But that just, that was worth the time. It's that good, fast, cheap thing. And it's like, well, we'll lose the fast part and make it a better movie.
Good and cheap. So the Atlanta Film Festival, is this the first place it's screened?
Yeah, it was the premiere.
What are the next steps as far as getting this wide release or whatever? What are the next steps?
I don't know. Do you have some ideas?
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about it. Let's figure it out, because I feel like, God, I keep telling people, I'm like, the second a distributor or somebody just happens to wander in and see this movie, it's so powerful. I feel like it's gonna be that, but I don't know. What are your experiences with it in the past and working through that realm?
Well, this is our first feature, so we're learning as we're going. We've entered a bunch more festivals, so we'll see how that goes, but we have promised to sit down with our producers and make a plan for distribution after this festival. So our approach is to get a sales agent attached, and then we'll see.
Take it out, but yeah, we literally finished it. They say like you never finish a film, you just abandon it. It's
we
like
just abandoned it.
Well, we just recently abandoned it because I would still be doing some little tedious cleanup shots if we didn't get a premiere.
Right.
So
there are a couple of people who've asked to see it that we're just now ready to show them. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes. But we did. We have investor on it, so we want them to make their money back, and we want it to get seen.
Yeah.
So outside of the festival, we have it out to a lot of other festivals. Outside of that, hopefully, you can talk to us in a year and let you know what happens.
We'll have a much better answer for that.
We'll let you know what happens.
I was gonna say, because I want to know when people can see it, because I want people to see this.
Yeah.
So
We'd
I'm
like
sure
that
you do
too.
too.
Me too.
Yeah.
Definitely would like that.
Please keep me posted. Okay, so last question. On my podcast, Missing Frames, we watch all the movies we should have seen by this point in our lives. What's a movie in your life that you should have seen, that you want to see but you haven't for whatever reason?
I haven't seen any of the Godfather movies.
Oh, really?
I've never seen them.
Oh, I haven't seen Godfather 2, I guess.
My wife hasn't seen
Yeah.
Godfather 2.
Everyone says that's the best one.
Yeah.
I know.
I haven't seen it.
Maybe I'm waiting on you.
I have not watched. Oh man, what's Citizen Kane?
Citizen
You
Kane.
haven't
Wow.
watched-
These are the first couple. The first episode of Missing Frames was Citizen Kane.
Can I admit that I watched like about 8 minutes and I turned it off? Like, I was like, I'm not feeling it. There's probably a ton.
Yeah, I've only seen a couple of Bergman films, and I really I've read his book, and I really love his work, and I've got them on my list, but I haven't watched.
I think
it yet.
Godfather's the one that when I tell people that they're like,
what?
Watch it,
Yeah.
watch it already.
Yeah, Godfather 1 and 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. What else? What else do we have to talk about? Is that it? Are we good?
This would be great if I could say, go watch it on whatever show, but you can't.
That's all
yet.
right.
So just
We'll
just
get there.
build up the suspense.
Just building up the suspense. What is this movie? We'll get there. So, but this is great. Thank you both
very
so much.
Yeah,
I
of
really
course.
appreciate it, Ruckus, Lane.
Yeah.
You're both awesome. This movie is awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
I want people to see it, and I hope it's out soon so they can see it.
Yay.